and you play one into the other, mix them and all that stuff, which you would have learned from Natalia, I expect, and you probably just know that's the general way that DJing works. So now to stand out these days, you've got to either be doing something really clever or dressed up in a ridiculous costume. So, on a very basic level, this is Record Box. This is how I organise my music before it goes onto the SD card. So this is a history of all the gigs I've played and what I've played at each gig, which is obviously really good for when say you do a really small club somewhere in Brazil, which I'm sure you'll all be doing soon once you've graduated. And then you've got a similar gig in Leeds. You can reference your playlist from Brazil, and then so it's really useful for stuff like that. So I've got these two folders that I normally work from, current, and then I've got solid, which is all stuff which I know is going to work on a dance floor generally, no matter what the club is. But Record Box isn't just an organisational program. I use it to make loops and hot cues, but also reference points. So if I click this track here, and it's going to come out of the laptop in a moment. But there's a little marker there, you can just see it there where my cursor is. And that's to tell me that vocal comes in. So if I load up the track on here, and this is all stuff which has been exported onto the SD card. I can't find the track, which is really useful. There it is.
Do you need this plugged into?
No, it's fine. No, it's on here. Can't actually see it, but on the screen here I've got this same waveform with the A, B and C, the little red markers underneath, and they're represented on the left here on this green, these green buttons. So if I click on that one, I just show you where the breakdown is. So I can see it anyway because of the waveform. I think I put that marker there to remind me to do something with the K oscillator originally, but now I don't do that anymore, but originally it was there to remind me to do some sort of performing. There it is. They come up on the players, just as you know, A, B and C down there. That's the first one. And that's Alan Fitzpatrick's record, actually.
He didn't make it yesterday. Yeah. He's got the flu.
Yeah. I was going to try that one, but he beat me to it. So that's on a real basic DJing level. It's super easy. It's just like iTunes, except you can do a few more things in it, and it's a bit more buggy than iTunes. It's kind of annoying. Also, down the right there, we've got comments. So if I've got a load of new music which I'm not familiar with, say I'm at home listening to tracks on Juno or Beatport or whatever, like half an hour before the gig, and I find something that's really good, I can put it on there. I can write a little note down the side. These notes don't really mean anything to anyone except for me, but you can it harks back to the days of vinyl when you used to write on the label with your marker pens. But yeah, and if there's any tempo changes or whatever, you can write them in there as well. Just, watch out for the chicken noise at 6 minutes. You don't really want that on a Function 1 sound system. So that's really handy because they scroll along the screen, although they're not at the moment because it's not set up properly. But yeah, all your comments you can call up on the players, so it's never been easier to sort of bluff it in a way.
You still have to mix them.
Yeah, you have to mix with these, of course. But you've got a decimal point with a BPM, so visually you can sort of get it just about right. So if I get this track, it's at 1, let's move it so it's got 125.7. Just make a loop. And then I load up another track at random. I don't know. Oh, where's this plugged in? I match the tempo, so if I go to 125.7, they're pretty much going to play in time. You just need to, 126. Oops. There you go. I mean, it'll probably need a fine adjustment, but maybe not. Say that Traktor is cheating and all this type of thing, you know, the beat syncing thing, but actually this is almost as easy. I've got no headphones on and they're virtually in time. They're a little bit out, but well, they're going to. But I didn't tell you that. So now, you know, going back to what I was saying, you have to sort of do things to stand out. So, which is why I've got all this extra stuff, which we'll get into in a second. Right, yeah. So let's go on to Ableton. Right, so this is my Ableton template. It's a bit gnarly at first when you look at it, because I've got all these different routing things happening. And it can get a little bit geeky. If I drag in, let me think. A lot of my tracks are split up into different things. So if it's blue like that, I know it's a breakbeat loop. So if I just play that. I pull in another track. So same principle, except I'm just using one fader and I'm going to mix internally with the iPad. I'll just stop that a second. Actually, I can load up my OSC template so you can see what's going on my iPad.
The iPad is your controller?
Yep, and this is also a controller and this is a controller. I will get to that in a second. Where is it?
No APC 40 then, you're not using it?
No, I do have one at home. I really love it. The thing that's great about the APC is you can there's one, I saw one somewhere.
Yeah, this is here.
Okay, the thing that's great about that is you can visually see Ableton, you know, as a hard device. You can see what clips are playing, where you've got clips in the slot, so it's really great. So there's one thing I really hate, and that's looking at the laptop when I'm DJing. I cannot stand it. And I hate it when I go and see DJs and they're just stood there looking at their computer. It's like, yeah, it's not very inspiring.
You're probably on Facebook.
Yeah, probably. Oh God, look at this. This is a mess. Why didn't I tidy this up before? Here we go. Right, so my iPad controller looks a bit like this. You can't really see the buttons because it's a bit grey, but it's 6 pages, I think, of different things. These are just one shots. They're not quantized, so you have to sort of be careful when you're firing those off. Now, these two filters, I don't actually mix with volume controls, I mix with the filters. So a high pass and a low pass, they high pass out to silence and low pass out to silence. So if I just show you on these two tracks, so this is the high pass to silence. So they act as filters and volume controls, which is really great, especially if you've got a track which doesn't really mix well with the other track. Maybe they're in different keys, or there's a lot of shuffle on the beats or whatever. You can sort of, you know, put a bit of reverb on and bleed them in and out. So if I fire off this clip here, I can use the filters to go from one track to another. You can see when it gets to 9, the volume spikes up a bit, so I'm going to use that there to go from one to the other. And then you can get rid of the other one with the reverb and the filter together. And voila, you're in the next track. It's pretty easy. But again, a lot of this is in the preparation. You can see I've chopped the tracks up into different parts, and there are some tracks where I really go a bit crazy and chop them into loads of parts. Different things there. What have we got? Yeah, you got this track. This is in all different parts. So yeah, I've got that into like 6 or 7 different parts there. So a lot of that's in the preparation.
Is this something you make, these loops that you make them yourself?
No, this is all other people's records I'm messing around with.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some of my own loops as well, but yeah, this down the left-hand side is all different tracks that I play in my sets, and then they're all Ableton files in themselves.
Coming out of different channels on the mixer?
No, that's it. You need one channel. I mean, with this, it's got a sound card in, so you can have it all in different channels. But because I've got CDJs here and here, I've got a K oscillator here that only leaves me one channel for my Ableton, and then I just mix internally.
Is your Ableton then actually plugged in from here into that? Or
Yeah, it's just going straight in. Yeah.
Ah, like that?
Yeah.
Oh.
So no need for any external sound cards, which is nice. And the sound card in this sounds really good too. So.
And that's just a Firewire cable or USB cable there?
That's a USB control cable, yeah. So, my iPad, it's an effects unit now. It's got loads of different VSTs and various things, and a lot of the magic is really in how the audio is routed. So you can see the audio at the moment is playing out of that track, but it's being sent, you can't really see it because it's really fuzzed out. But it's going to a channel called, which I've called Dummy Gator, which is over here. Now this is a little chopping up gator thing. If I go back to the first page here, you can just about see it at the bottom of the screen. 1/16, 1/8, 1/2, 1/1, 3/4, and that basically just chops it up into different parts. So the audio is going to pass into the Dummy Gator. At the moment, these are dummy envelopes. So it's passing through a dry envelope, so it's not being affected. If I click on this one, that's fine actually. Let's just push one. Right, now it's chopping it in two. There you go. You can see it's just letting those